Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the Buzzword by Sriram IS Study Center, where every week we will discuss about a relevant topic associated to the most important headlines of the week. Last week, the G20 and the questions associated to its further existence occupied the world news and editorial pages of the newspaper. So why is the G20 in news? What is G20 and what kind of challenges awaits it? We will try to find answers to these questions in this video. So let's begin. But before moving on, first let's give a sight to the content of the video. We shall be covering what is in news, what is G20, what the history of G20 has been, what is the organizational structure of G20, and the kind of challenges which awaits it. In news, the G20 summit for this year is scheduled to take place in Indonesia in November. This will be the first G20 summit since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has left the world sharply divided. This division became apparent at the recent preparatory meeting of foreign ministers in Bali, where G7 countries skipped a welcome reception and concert to protest the presence of Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Mr. Lavrov walked out of one meeting over comments made by Western countries about the war in Ukraine and another just before Ukrainian Foreign Minister, a special invitee to the session on food security, began to speak. Prior to the meeting, the Indonesian president flew to Kiev and Moscow from the venue of G7 summit to meet Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Putin to ensure that both attend the summit where Ukraine is a special invitee this year. The US has demanded Mr. Putin be disinvited or the US and European countries would boycott his address. Now the question is, what is G20? Formed in 1999, G20 stands for the Group of 20, which is a strategic multilateral grouping of 20 biggest economies. It is an intergovernmental forum for promoting economic cooperation between developed and emerging economies. It works to address major issues related to global economy such as international financial stability, climate change mitigation and sustainable development. The objectives of the grouping are policy coordination between its members in order to achieve global economic stability and sustainable growth, to promote financial regulations that reduce risk and prevent future financial crises, to create a new international financial architecture. Its member countries are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, South Africa, Turkey, UK, USA, and the EU. Together, these member states comprise of 60% of the global population, 75% of the global trade, and 80% of the world's GDP. Other than the member states, Spain is a permanent invitee to G20 summits along with several international agencies like the UN, the IMF, the World Bank, the ASEAN, and the AU, etc. These stakeholders annually meet to discuss challenges and opportunities related to global economy. The congregation is known as the G20 Summit. Now let's look at the history of G20. By the end of the 20th century, the geo-economic multilateral order was dominated by G8 countries, now the G7 after the ouster of Russia, and they proved to be ineffective in dealing with the Mexican-Asian-Russian financial crisis of 1997-98. The larger economic grouping at the time, the 38-member Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, that was created out of the post-World War reconstruction effort, was equally unworkable and weighted towards the US and Europe. This led to the first G20 meeting of finance ministers and central bank governors to look at the world through a more global south perspective. Canadian Finance Minister and later Prime Minister Paul Martin and the US Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers are credited with the push for this larger grouping. The world began to feel the tremors of the global financial recession in 2007. It set the stage for the cooperation between countries from developed and developing world. The first G20 summit was convened in Washington in 2008, which led the grouping to agree to revive economies with a spending boost worth rupees $4 trillion, lowering trade barriers and implementing economic and governance reforms. It was a landmark success achieved by any multilateral grouping in the 21st century. Now let's look at the organizational structure of G20. The G20 has no fixed headquarters and the secretariat moves by rotation between countries hosting or assuming presidency for the grouping each year. The members are divided into 5 groups. India is in Group 2 along with Russia, South Africa and Turkey. The chair or the presidency is a part of a revolving 3-member management group of past, present and future chairs referred to as the Troika. The current Troika consists Italy, Indonesia and India. The preparatory process for G20 is conducted through the established Sherpa and finance tracks that prepare and follow up on the issues and commitments adopted at the summits. The Sherpa's track focuses on non-economic and financial issues such as development, anti-corruption and food security, whereas the finance track focuses on economic and financial issues. Now let's talk about the challenges ahead. The grouping is facing an existential threat due to increasing global polarization imputed by changed geopolitical scenarios. The rise and aggressive assertiveness of China, the war in Ukraine and the resurgence of nationalist sentiments across the globe, involving anti-globalization agenda, have in culmination divided the world and led countries to think of G0, that means only about their national interest over any G7, G20, BRICS or P5. This year's summit would prove consequential for the future of the grouping. It would be the greatest challenge for the current presidency of Indonesia and the upcoming presidency of India to ensure the existence of the G20 as a global platform for cooperation and communication in a time when 2 different camps are exhibiting their most acrimonious behavior against each other. Additionally, the tremors of the forthcoming financial and food crisis have begun to unleash fear upon the people across the globe. Dealing with these challenges in these geopolitically tense times would be a higher task for the group as a whole. So this was for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe.